the provisioning service has been updated, and I want to quickly show you what we did there, because this is actually really cool stuff. So if you go to the provisioning SharePoint.pmp.com, this service is still in a beta status. So we're looking into moving general availability relatively soon. But the whole point of this service is that you're able to provision example content to your tenant. So you can provision any of these templates, as many versions of these templates as needed, with the different adaptions. One of the things what we saw when people were actually using this service, let me actually start a provisioning just to show this one in practice. So as an example, this is a cool looking site designed by our design team, and you can easily add this kind of a site to your tenant as long as you're a tenant administrator by signing in, authorizing, and then filling in the form for what URL do you actually want to use for that one. So let's actually do this in practice. So let's do workshop demo as the URL, and we're validating the URL. That doesn't take too long. So are we overriding existing site collection or not? In this case, it's a new site collection. Clicking provision, it's going to do validating of the prerequisites. And this is now the key thing what we changed within this morning's release of the provisioning service. And this one actually gives the capability of validating, are there any missing prerequisites like the app catalog or any permissions missing, and then it's instructing you to fix those issues. So what will get provision, I will click provision, and that actually starts provisioning process. The easiest way to actually know that provisioning is completed is actually really go to the URL, to the inbox of the email address which we used or which we provided in the form, and I'm going to go to the Outlook while we're waiting to that happen. Now, like I said, we changed the provisioning validation logic quickly. I'm going to show this one in practice as well. So now if I'm signed into my tenant as a tenant administrator, this is a separate tenant. So I'm going to just demonstrate this in practice. A slightly different tenant than the previous one. And if I go to the SharePoint provisioning tooling, and my tenant isn't fulfilling or doesn't met with all of the prerequisites which are needed for the specific template. So many of these templates do not actually have prerequisites, except that you need to be a tenant administrator. But as an example, if you're using custom learning, you need to have an app catalog inside of your tenant, so that the custom learning template can add the needed SharePoint framework solution to your tenant and activate that to be available. In past, the validation of these prerequisites happened actually after the provisioning has started, and that definitely wasn't optimal. So now we actually validate as part of the provisioning a request. So now if I authorize and authenticate against the application, there we go, and I'm filling the UI. So let's do something which is absolutely unique. So the URL is actually absolutely available within the tenant. And now if I click provision, it's validating prerequisites. And if something isn't met, we actually tell you the problem what you're having within your tenant. So as an example, in this case, there's an application catalog is missing. So you can follow up on that link and wait 30 minutes and try again. So after that, the provisioning will be completed. So this will definitely help on people reusing these templates as a demo content, reusing the template as a starting point potentially for something what they're building. And they are really there to help you to kind of visualize and see what's possible based on the modern SharePoint sites and modern SharePoint experiences. Really cool stuff. And we will be releasing a new set of templates as well, updated templates with header support and section background support in a few weeks. So updates are coming up all the time for the provisioning service. Now, as I was talking this, let's double check. Does Megan has already an email? That's 708. That is actually the email on the Contoso workshop site, which we just created using that alternative tenant, which was fine. So if I click that URL, we can actually see that my workshop demo site collection is created with an example content and an example structure and example demos, how you could actually build your modern SharePoint site. So pretty cool stuff. Maybe one thing to notice here is this is a good example from a template, that this one here in the original lookbook designs is actually a Power Apps form, and there's unfortunately no APIs yet, at least in the Power Apps side, so we would be able to use that. Right now this is an image, but it gives you the indication what it could be, and you can then easily further modify the site by using the normal UI and modify, for example, the navigation, or modify the header to align more based on your own designs or based on your own thinking of whatever you wanted it to be. But cool, that was the ad hoc demo.